Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Muslim Philanthropy Podcast. My name is Muhi Khwaja with American Muslim Community Foundation. Today I have the honor of bringing on Dilnaz Waraich from the Waraich Family Fund. Dilnaz, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Muhi. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Of course, and congratulations on being nominated as an Outstanding Philanthropist. It's really exciting to get a chance to speak with you and share a little bit more about all the wonderful work you're doing.
It's actually an honor, and it's not just one family that's doing this work. Alhamdulillah, it's the whole entire Muslim American community. So I feel like I'm representing everyone that's doing this philanthropic work.
For sure. Just reading through the application and getting a sense of all the different projects you've supported and kind of what you and your family have contributed to. It seems like, a lot of people often have a general idea of causes they want to support, and maybe they'll do some research, but it really seems like you have taken that strategy and accountability and built a whole process around how you engage with nonprofit organizations. So can you share a little bit more about kind of highlight some of your favorite projects and, whether you started as a volunteer or just gave feedback and then kind of started supporting them financially as well?
Sure, that's a great question. So I actually want to go back to the word of philanthropy and philanthropist. I feel like that word's kind of been hijacked because so many years I've always had that image of it's like a rich white man who's a philanthropist. There's no one else that could be a philanthropist because there's no way I'm a rich white man. So I want to take that word back and make sure that we reclaim it, because as Muslims, we're all philanthropists. So a philanthropist is a person that has a desire to promote welfare for others. So when we give our allocations for sadaqah or for zakat, we're really promoting the welfare for the Muslim American community and our larger community. So it kind of goes back to that's one of the reasons we have been very strategic in our family giving. Another thing that we're really very cognizant about is that philanthropy is not a passive sector. It's not a sector where we just, make dua and inshallah things will just happen. We actively work towards getting to know our organizations. We actively get to know our executive directors, the community that we're supporting. So this is a very active sector that we're, passionate about. And philanthropy takes a lot of courage, right? Like, because alhamdulillah, there are so many great organizations out there. And how can we go in as volunteers and learn about the organization and be courageous? You never want to go into an organization and ask for a meeting and, get to know the executive director, because then it's a dog and pony show. And it's just literally they're being taken away from their mission, the executive director and all the work that they're doing. So what we've always done with our organization is gone in as volunteers and gotten to know firsthand where's the benefit happening. So I can go on to like some organizations that we really enjoy working with.
Sure.
So what we started as a family is bringing together 25 Muslim nonprofits. So Community Collaboration Initiative just started in January of 2020. And our family brought together 25 Muslim nonprofits because what we realize is collaboration is not an easy venture. So what we did in 2018 is send out 42 surveys to Muslim nonprofits, and we asked 3 questions. The 3 questions that we asked is, number one, what is your model of fundraising versus development? How are you using development in your organizations? How are you recruiting donors? How are you stewarding donors? How are you telling your story? The number 2 question that we asked is, how are you making sure your organization has marginal voices like women in there and people of color and youth and converts? We wanted to make sure we support organizations that are really amplifying individuals that don't have voices in other organizations. And the third question that we asked in these 42 surveys was, we asked the question about, if you collaborate, tell us who you collaborate with. And if you don't collaborate with Muslim nonprofits, why is that? Tell us why you don't collaborate. So when I sent out these 42 surveys, literally I thought, I'll be lucky if I get 1 or 2 survey results back. All 42 sent us back their answers. And I was like,
That's
wow.
phenomenal.
I was like, wow, people actually took time and effort to answer this survey. And what I found out with our family as we sat down and we went through every single survey result, and we found out a couple of things. Number one, Muslim nonprofits want to collaborate. It's just that we don't have time. We want to get together with our executive directors. We want like Muslim nonprofits to have conversations on a monthly basis, but it just doesn't happen. Number two, we found out our Muslim nonprofits are pretty much stuck in the fundraising model. We're pretty much
Mm,
stuck at every Ramadan. We're going to
right.
shut the doors, make us feel bad about it and everything. So that's what we found out about how are we moving to the development model? We're really not, especially most of the nonprofits aren't. And the third thing we found out is there were so many excuses of why women, people of color, and youth are not on Muslim nonprofit boards. There were so many excuses. And when I was speaking to the executive directors and I was speaking to the boards, I was like, I'm sorry, you can't use that excuse with me because I'm a woman and I'm a person of color. And if someone asked me to be on a board and I really valued it, I would make time for it. And if you really
Right.
valued me to be on your board, you would make allowances for that individual as well. So it's like a symbiotic relationship. If you want that person on the board's got to make allowances. I want to be on the board, I also need to make plans to figure out how to get to these meetings as well.
Right.
So we found a lot of information through those 42 surveys that we took, and we were really happy to realize that we can kind of work on this. So what we did is we brought together Indiana University Lilly School of Philanthropy. We spoke to 25 nonprofits. We definitely made sure that there was a board member and a staff member that can be committed to this project, which is a 3-year initiative for 3 years.
Wow.
So every month they get on a phone call, they talk about their strengths, their challenges, their hopes. And the first year of community collaboration initiative is just about trust building. Having Muslims have conversations about, how hard it is to be fighting against Islamophobia, how difficult it is with COVID-19. The second year of CCI is really about collaboration through projects, doing some projects together. And the third year, it's about collaboration through sustainability, making sure that the foundation organizations, the foundation world knows about the Muslim nonprofits.
Great. That what you are talking about, this collaboration, is just so forward thinking, and without even knowing that COVID-19 would happen, and a shift in the culture of how organizations are operating, this coalition building, this collaborative spirit will hopefully strengthen these nonprofits to do so much more than they would have done on their own. So really kudos to your family and the Lilly School and Indiana University for putting their heads together and thinking this through. You keep mentioning your family, so obviously I want to talk a little bit more about how your family has kind of come up with these decisions together. I've also noticed that, you know, even early on, like your kids were in participating in like bowling fundraisers and other community initiatives. So how did you kind of encourage them through the years to look into that more?
So it goes back to like the prophetic model, right? I think we're very blessed to be having great role models in our prophetic ways. So I think about how Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had different people around him his entire life. So his wife Khadija Rizatullah anhu was this amazing, wealthy businesswoman, and then his best friend Abu Bakr Rizatullah anhu was just such a pious, hardworking man. And then you have Uthman Rizatullah who was also an affluent, scholar in the community. So how important it is for us to realize we really shouldn't be around just one certain type of individual. We really want to make sure our friend network, our social capital, looks and sounds like American Muslims do. So we wanted to make sure that our family is always around individuals that are from various sectors. So growing up, my two sons, my husband and I, we would always be at Inner City Muslim Action Network in Chicago and in the food pantry and doing the work that we needed to do during Thanksgiving time, during volunteering time. And then the boys realized they wanted to make an impact as well. So they ended up doing a fundraiser 10 years in a row. So we started off when they were about 6 and 9 years old. And
Wow.
there was a flood in Pakistan. So this is about 11 years ago when the flood occurred in Pakistan.
Right.
The boys were like, oh my gosh, we don't want to just write a check, and we hate fundraising dinners, so what can we do? And I was like, I don't know, what do you guys want to do? So they said, oh, we love bowling, so can we get a bunch of people together and bowl? So they just decided they wanted to have a bowling event, and my husband and I decided we would pay for the actual bowling part, but all the funds that you got would go to HDF. So HDF was our
Right.
organization to collect the funds, and then we were able to, first year I think we collected close to like $8,000, and that was pretty impressive.
For
And
sure.
then the second year, every year they found a different organization to fund towards, and we did Oxfam, we did Habitat for Humanity,
That's
we
great.
did Syrian Community Network, and they always went out and they found the organization. They realized how much money they needed, and if they got those funds, how much of an impact they would make. And we talk a lot about effective altruism
Hmm.
and effect, and how much of, like, if we're spending $1 in Chicago, what is the effects opposed to spending $1 maybe in Africa or Bangladesh. So that's an important aspect of our conversation as well.
For sure. And I'm glad that you mentioned a lot of charities that aren't Muslim led, right? There are so many opportunities to build relationships with the Muslim community and mainstream organizations to showcase that the Muslim community cares about those causes as well. So, your background as well, you're involved with the NPR and the Chicago Theological Seminary, and so many other organizations. And as a board member, we were so honored to have you join our Social Impact Accelerator to talk about engaging board members and how to recruit board members. So, can you talk a little bit more about the different board positions that you hold?
Yeah, I think that's a really important conversation, making sure that as our giving, we have three buckets of giving, and a lot of our family giving really is place-based philanthropy. So we're very much, because we're in the Chicagoland region, we're very much in supporting Illinois and the organizations in Illinois, and it doesn't matter if it's a Muslim American organization or an organization doing work like a Catholic Theological Union or Chicago Theological Seminary that's doing interreligious work. So if it's doing interreligious work and supporting the ideas and the concepts of Islam, that's something we're really interested in as well. You also talked about other organizations we're working with. So I think about this year, we're actively also working on something called the Learning Launch. So
Hmm.
the Learning Launch is on January 27th, 2021. And what we're doing is we're bringing together data. We're collecting data about the Muslim American community in the state of Illinois. So we're working with the Illinois Muslim Civic Coalition. We're working with ISPU. We're working with University of Illinois Race Relations Committee. And what we're finding out is there's not any studies done about the Illinois Muslim community, like what's our diversity, what's our population, what's our geographic expansion. So when we're doing this reporting, what we're going to do is come together with the foundation world in January 27th and present to the foundation world. Look at how diverse the Muslim American community is. And if we're 4% of Illinois' entire population, the foundation world should be giving 4% of their funding to the Muslim nonprofits.
I love that.
If we're 1% of the entire population in America, guess what? The foundation world should be giving 1% of funding to Muslim nonprofits. And if you're
Agreed.
not, tell us why. How can we help you? How can we
Hmm.
make sure that you do give this funding and you know good Muslim nonprofits? The other thing we want to do, Muhi, is we want to make sure that Muslim Americans are in leadership positions.
Right.
So making sure that we have a Muslim American on a board, making sure we have a Muslim American in committees really breaks down stereotypes, and it helps us tell our own Muslim American story. We don't need anyone else to tell the Muslim American story because we can tell that story ourselves.
It's so
So the
true.
Learning Launch is really advocating for Muslim education, number one, and then making sure that Muslim Americans are in board positions and committee positions. And number three, it doesn't stop here, right? Like there's so many more conversations that we need to have about equity and fair wages and
Right.
affordable housing, because these are all Muslim issues. When we talk about mass incarceration, that's a Muslim issue. Anything that has to do with America and politics and incarceration, it has to do with Muslims. So how do we make sure that we realize these are issues that we need to be part of?
Definitely. I think you said it so eloquently, and I think that shows like the potential of the American Muslim community engaging in solving a lot of these issues and showing that we care. So, is there anything else that you'd like to highlight for AMCF and people to learn more about you and the work that you do?
First, I just was really appreciative of the numerous categories that you had for the philanthropic awards that you're giving, because you really want to make sure that we highlight like the youth in philanthropy, the corporations, the grant makers, the lifetime achievements. So I appreciate AMCF doing that and doing it so well too. And congrats on this first award, a nomination category for all of the Muslim American community and the work that you're leading and charging for us in Muhi.
Happy to do it, and so thankful to you and all of your leadership and being an example for Muslims, for Muslim women, for women in general. Just really appreciative of everything that you do. So thank you so much.
Great. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.